Hi, this is Deirdre Verbo, and welcome to Let's Talk Seniors, memory care issues, Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's. We are bringing you every Monday through Thursday a show all about our favorite people, senior citizens, and topics of interest for today, and also all about Medicare and Alzheimer's and dementia and Title 19, what to do with your senior when they start to show signs of aging, that they can't live on their own, and all sorts of hints and tips. So please feel free to join us, and also please feel free to write to us as we speak so we can answer your questions here live. You may know that Deirdre Verbo, I am opening Just Like Home Dogwood House, a beautiful residential assisted living memory care home, a boutique style home for just 6 residents in Shelton, Connecticut, opening in just 2 weeks. So I hope you'll come for a tour, join me for lunch, and come see for yourself what a senior residential living facility looks like. It's a regular home. We'll have round-the-clock staff, and for only 6 people. We'll be filling up fast, so give me a call or come for a tour. Today we have special guest Gary Ferrone on. He is the owner of Sunshine Senior Homes, as well as Fairfield County Family Home. And he has 2 specialties. He runs 2 businesses. One is placing people in homes, caretakers in your home if you are in need of somebody to come in 3 to 6 hours a day or even overnight. Half of his staff is overnight staff round the clock for you in your home if your loved one needs help. Or he also runs 5 residential senior assisted living homes right here in Stamford and Norwalk. So we are going to welcome Gary Ferrone to the show, and he is going to be talking to you today about, is it time to put your senior in assisted living yet? Hello, Mr. Gary Ferrone, and welcome to the show. Hi, you've been on before, and today we're going to be talking about, is it time to put your loved one in an assisted living home? So many people ask this question. When do they know? You know, this COVID thing's gone on longer than I think a lot of us were thinking it would, and now people are thinking it's going to go on a whole lot longer. When is it safe?
Good question. I guess it depends on where you're going to look to place. People have been asking us the last going on 3 to 4 months now. In my personal opinion, depending on where what type of facility it is, if large assisted living facility, you need to ask. Many of them are still on lockdown. So if you have a 1-bedroom or a studio apartment, for the last 4 months, they have really not been able to leave the apartment. A lot of people are suffering from depression because of that.
Yeah.
A lot of people are just, just sort of not happy, and they're a little stir crazy, and they're looking to, get out and stretch their legs a little bit.
Everybody's going stir crazy, right? But for seniors, if you're on lockdown and you can't see your loved ones, so are a lot of the assisted living still totally on lockdown and not even showing or giving tours?
I don't believe that they're giving tours. I believe most of them are still on lockdown. Our home on lockdown, although we are restricting visitors to outside visitation only. On the back deck, one end on one side of the patio table and one side of the other. It's the coronavirus is not something that should be taken lightly. There is a possibility, as we all hear, maybe possibly a second wave coming through. That's not a good thing for everyone to hear. We fortunately have had not one case of COVID-19 through any one of our 5 homes with the 23 residents that we currently have, which is a good thing. We're smaller, we're more intimate, we don't have as many people coming and going, as many staff members coming and going, so it's worked out well for us.
So you've been able to contain it by keeping, your staff down, and also early on with measures. Can you tell us what kind of measures you're taking?
Sure. We first, if people are going to come in and or tour the facility, we want them to have a double negative test to start. Okay, that's number one. We would feel more comfortable with people coming into view. They come in with masks, they come in with gloves, and they're just told, I can give you a tour, but let's not touch anything. We make sure residents are away from the people that are coming in, and they just sort of do facility. They can meet some of the residents sort of from 6 or 10 feet away, and that's helped us. So one of the good things about residents in our home are they're free to move, throughout the house and outdoors as well. So not only do they have to not stay in their own room, but they can come out to the kitchen, they can come out to the TV room, they can go out to the great room, they can go outside, they can pick some of the vegetables in the vegetable garden, get a little sun, sit out under the sun. Doesn't give them that confinement feeling.
But I notice all your caretakers are still heavily masked and gloved and everything. So the caretakers are taking all the precautions of being outside.
They are. We make sure that we log everybody in that's coming into the home. We make sure that we do two things. We look for signs of any sickness, people sweating, not feeling good. We ask them how they're feeling, and we take their temperature prior to entering into any one of the homes.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to come in with mask and gloves, and the caregivers are wearing mask and gloves, and they change them regularly throughout the day as well.
And now they also have to take a weekly COVID test to make sure that they're COVID free, right?
We've been doing that all along, but it's now a a Connecticut state law that you have to have a weekly negative COVID test. And fortunately, most of the places are free of charge. There's one right across the street from our office in Stamford that you can either walk in or drive through, and they give you the test in 2 days. I was also contacted by docs over by exit 6 off of 95, and you can walk in. They take all insurance, and they will give you a result and your test within 15 minutes.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I know CVS has been doing it. There's a bunch of places that are doing it now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? So it's kind of much easier. So you have the boutique senior residential assisted livings like I'm opening up. And I know that has a whole different, you've had nobody with COVID, you've had no issues with it. So you're able to open up to the families. And I know you've had your families talking to each other on FaceTime or Skype on a daily basis, but also now they can come out and visit on the porch, for 1 hour a day?
Well, yeah, actually, it's pretty funny that the residents feel that they've been more engaged with the family throughout the whole COVID process than a normal time. We have an iPad that we could either FaceTime, or we have a computer that we can Skype with every family member. And we have either volunteers or, our caregivers throughout the home, connecting once, twice, possibly 3 times per day with family members.
Nice.
So,
is that because everybody's so worried about their senior that they're calling them more and they can't see them?
And visit, and they feel a little guilty, and they like to connect, and it's a little bit easier. They do a 5 or 10 minute call. Saves a lot of time, so they have that much more time to spend with them on the phone.
Yeah, I mean, I'm checking in with my elderly relatives more as well because I know they're alone,
Right.
and I know they're not going anywhere, and I know nobody can visit them. So yeah, that makes sense. So what questions should people ask? I know in coming to your facility, you're going to tell them that what's going on, that you've had no COVID and the double negative test, and people can visit and you're giving tours. But what should they ask if they're choosing a big box facility? What kind of questions should they be asking now?
A couple things. The first thing is the state furnishes a list of every single assisted living facility and senior living home, and tells you the percentage, how many clients they have versus how much COVID they've had. So that's a thing to see. If it's a high number, that may be something that you may want to look for a different facility.
Where do you get that? Where's the state list?
You just go to the state website. They email it to me, so I'm not actually sure, but I can give you the list, and you can publish it on your site if you'd like. But it's updated weekly, and it's fairly accurate. I within the lockdown process, are they free to move within the building? Are they allowed any outside time? Are you allowed any visitation? Have any of your services and activities been cut? And so, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, it's it's kind of tough, right? For somebody to move, they have to get acclimated when they're moving to a new facility or just leaving their home, and then to be in lockdown for 2 weeks and not be able to even socialize with the other people or see what's going on. or have any regular activities, that makes it so much harder. So what if they do say, oh yeah, no, we're still in lockdown, people have to come in and stay for 2 weeks, then it's not really a good time to move. What's your opinion?
I don't think the answer is too difficult, but I mean, I wouldn't feel comfortable bringing somebody into an assisted living facility because there's always an adjustment period. You want them to have a really good initial entry into the facility, and if they go in and they just have to stay in their room for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, or possibly, hopefully not, but through a second wave, I think that's going to be very, very difficult in the adjustment period.
Yeah. How do you usually adjust your new people? How do you acclimate them to your home?
Good question. We make sure that they're fed well. That's, happy to.
Their favorite foods, comfort foods of home.
We want to prepare their special meals. We want to make sure that we have a really good introduction with the other, 3 or 4 people within the home. Okay. We spend a lot of one-on-one time with that client. As people are in our homes and, they get adjusted and they're comfortable. A lot of them are on autopilot. So we may play a board game or, play bingo with 3 people, and the second caregiver do one-on-one with that person, that maybe has just come in. We want to make sure that they have a lot of visitation right now outside with a family member. Sometimes that's good and sometimes that's bad, depending on their, if they have Alzheimer's, if they have dementia. It may not be a good thing. Sometimes dropping a resident off and not coming back for a week is a good thing, because they won't always be asking, where's my wife, where's my daughter, where's my husband, and so on. So it just really depends on the individual.
And do people often come in like in a respite situation where they can come in and see the facility for like a week or 2 before they commit fully?
We always tell people that we don't want to make a hasty decision. So we always tell them we welcome them in normal times, and we may even do that now, after we've had some negative tests, to be able to come in, have some lunch, stay for the day, drop them off at 8:30 in the morning. We can feed them breakfast. They can go out through the entire day, lunch and dinner, and come pick them up at the end. I'm happy to have them stay for a night or 2, free of charge. No charge for that. I want to make sure they're comfortable. I want to make sure that they like it. And I want to make sure that once they make that commitment to be able to move, that it's going to be a good long-term relationship.
Excellent. And what is your longest term resident?
Well, we've been in the residential home business for about 7 years now with the 5 homes that we have. And I still have one of the original residents that has been with us. Actually, I believe we have 2 people that have been since day one.
And how old are they now?
One is 59.
Oh,
Is almost Joe. I think he's 91.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I know your oldest resident recently
Is
like how old?
101.
100.
101.
101. That's amazing.
She's doing.
That's crazy. What age do people typically come in at?
Really at all different ages. I've had, residents as young as 50 with certain disabilities come in. I've had people, walk through the door at 96, 98, 99. So it really just sort of depends on, when they feel they have to move out of the house, or they can't live alone, or the one-on-one situation is not working well, with a live-in caregiver at home, or they need some more stimulation. A lot of times we have people that are home and they may be independent, but then, just they may have exhausted a lot of their savings. They, may not have the money for the upkeep on the home. So it's really sort of time to go. A lot of times, and 50% of my business with Fairfield Family Care in the home care business is 24-hour live-in. And to be honest with you, I sometimes believe that being in a beautiful home with a few friends is a much better situation than being one-on-one. One-on-one can get a little boring. One-on-one can get a little stale. One-on-one, you don't have a lot of interaction, a lot of socialization, and it's just yourself and the caregiver. And, that can take a toll after a period of time.
So, Gary, I know you're not clearing your throat. I know you have a dog in the room.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So,
and why don't you tell us? So I've read a book, and I just forgot the author, about I think it's called The Greenhouse Effect, on how the positive influence that animals, dogs and cats and birds have on people with Alzheimer's and dementia. And you have a beautiful story about a person that came to your home almost motionless, speechless, and you brought your beloved pet. Why don't you tell us that story?
So for years now, we've always had a little English bulldog puppy that has come to visit in the homes, and people love him, and they pet him and they feed him, and they just like a sort of an animal around. But yes, we when I opened up my Forest Hill home in Norwalk, we had a resident that came in. She was nonverbal. She hadn't gotten out of bed in 9 months. She was non-ambulatory. She's only had sort of bed baths, I believe once or twice a week. And I said to her husband that that won't happen here. Day one we'll get her up. She'll shower her, and she'll come to the table, whether it be in a wheelchair or a nice comfortable chair, just like every other resident here. He didn't really believe it, but so day two, I'll skip to day two. She was up in the morning when she got up. We gave her a nice shower. She was very, very happy. And then she came to the breakfast table. She needed to be spoon fed, and she lived life as a normal resident. But unbeknownst to us, she was an animal lover, and she had dogs growing up her whole life. So when I came over to visit the first day that she had moved in, she had heard the dogs paws sort of walking along the floor, and she perked herself up and she started going like this. And so I picked the dog up and I put the dog in bed, and she got up and she kissed the dog right on the nose, and she started petting it. And she became so happy and full of energy that I went over to the house. I'm there usually every day, but I stayed a little longer, and I left the dog for about 2 weeks every single day. And the dog came up and cuddled up right next to her on the couch or next to her wheelchair, and just sort of knew, because she would pet the dog every time the dog would come near, and the dog would sit right next to her wheelchair. And over a period of time, it took months, but I wouldn't say she was the most vocal person in the home. But people would come over and they would come in and visit, and they would be surprised that she could carry on a conversation, that she was up in the chair. A big task for us was getting her off of being spoon fed to having her eating herself. And that was a great thing.
That is an amazing story. That's an amazing story. And that's the power of the love of a pet. I know that your little dog is your mascot, but I just read how just having living things in the house is so helpful, including plants and children and pets and anything that will perk somebody up, especially if they have dementia, Alzheimer's, or have become nonverbal. So that's excellent. So it's like pet therapy.
Yeah. And when we have people visit, they come over to see mom, they come over with the dogs, the kids, and everybody, and they run through the house, and people love it because they love the entertainment. They love a little interaction, a little, stimulation, and a little change of the everyday sort of environment. So they're happy about that.
That's so nice. That's just beautiful. Well, I love your homes. I love everything you've done. And so in your opinion, people should be asking exactly what the places are doing now for the whole COVID situation, how safe their parent will be in there, what their whole system is, and their approach, since we could have another cycle, as you say, of this. And basically they can come to your house worry-free.
Right. They have to be prepared and have a list of questions to be able to sort of, ask. And you got to be smart about it. And you have to think that, what would you do in the future if we have a second wave go down? Would it be a secondary lockdown? Would you allow visitation outside 10 feet away on the deck? So allow visitation for an hour, as really as many times as they want to come. We only do it for an hour because we want to be able to have people come, and other families come as well. So we only have one visitation, at a time. and they don't really have to sort of make an appointment. They just have to call and say, listen, I'm going to come visit mom at 3 o'clock. It's a nice day outside. Can you sit her under the umbrella? I'll give you a call when I'm in the driveway.
How's that working out?
It's working out well. It's working out well. A lot of tears that they haven't seen mom and dad, or husband and wife in, a couple of months. It's working out well. We're starting back slowly on our entertainment. So we have Dave that comes and plays the guitar. He plays outside on the deck, 10 feet away from the rest of the residents, but it offers a little bit more stimulation to try to get back. We still haven't brought back in the arts and crafts because that's more of a sort of a close-knit, type activity. The lady that comes to play the piano, we haven't started her back, and the volunteers, we haven't started back. We want to be cautious. We want to remain safe, but we want to be able to make sure that people are happy within the same process.
And how much do the residents understand about the whole COVID situation?
Everything's a little bit different. It's been difficult, but we try to limit the news. Because I think if I watched the news 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, I'd be so depressed I'd never leave the house. So we try to get them, we have a Netflix subscription, and we try to, find an old Western or movie, or we crank up the popcorn machine, and we try to make television sort of sometimes it's the History Channel, either fun or exciting, but we don't want to see Jerry Springer. We don't want to see Judge Judy. We don't want to sort of the same everyday programs, and people miss that, but I think they appreciate the movies or maybe a series or something like that a little bit more so.
Yeah, I actually have a girlfriend that is bedridden because between the politics and COVID, she's a news junkie.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I have a cure. Shut off the news.
Yep. Eat quick fix. Very easy.
She's a news junkie. I'm like, really, stop watching the news. If it's that depressing that you're bedridden, that's crazy. So you're kind of keeping them from it so they're not so upset by it.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting. You have to sort of decipher, if you're going to watch the news. I know that there's been a spike in cases, but we have so many more places to be able to get tested. 2 months ago, you couldn't get tested anywhere. Nobody wanted. You had to have a doctor's note. We here at the office are fortunate to have the community center right across the street, and I can call up and say, I go to the drive-in, even though it's across the street. You can do a walk-in as well, and I can call, and in 5 minutes they'll give me an appointment, and I get in my car. I literally drive out of the parking lot across the street into the next parking lot and get my test done. So we get.
Gary, what has changed that it took like 2 weeks to get results before, and now you can get it in a few minutes?
Good question, Deirdre. I don't think I know the answer to that question. I think maybe the case may be there's so many more testing facilities. They probably have sort of tried to master the system. There were so many labs with so many tests. I don't think they were able to, do all the testing in a timely manner. Now I think that they've opened up more labs and they streamlined the process and they understand it a little bit more. So I think they're testing, 4 times as many people as they were a couple of months ago.
Have you had any of your seniors tested?
We haven't had seniors tested. It's a little bit more difficult to be able to get them out of the house. We haven't found a facility that could actually come in and test. And I don't think it's really necessary unless they've exuded any symptoms of,
Right.
sweating, temperature. We know our residents. We have a strong attachment with them. They can just get up in the morning and a caregiver can look at them and say, you know what, you don't look like yourself today. So we understand that, and so there really hasn't been a reason.
Understood. It's great. I'm so happy that you've had such good success because I know how close you are to your residents and how long they've been with you and how small, tight-knit family you are, and it would be pretty devastating to lose one of them.
It would.
So I'm really happy that has not happened in any of your homes. So continued success there.
Thank you.
Keeping everybody alive and happy and well, and it's no easy feat these days.
That's great.
So thank you so much, Gary, for coming back. Is there anything else you want to tell us? What about your family, the Fairfield Family Home Care? What kind of special things are you doing there to keep people safe when you're going into their home to caretake?
It starts with education. We sit down, we have a long talk with the caregivers. If they want to continue their employment, they have to quarantine, they have to be safe, they have to keep their own family safe. We have them tested once a week as well. There's only so much that you can do. We've only had, out of 134 caregivers that we employ, we've had 3 caregivers that have gotten tested with COVID, not seriously. We've had one client that, actually 2 clients have had COVID, and one was fatal, one was not. But she had a lot of visitation. So they've had a lot of visitation from the family, and it all worked out well. So we didn't really know where it came from. But out of 134 caregivers and hundreds of cases that we do, weekly, we've had a very, very, very small percentage. And I think that started with education of the caregivers. A lot of people opted to have a live-in, and not necessarily an hourly person coming every single day. So that's cut down on the COVID as well.
I guess people see that as safer because they're not coming and going anywhere. And the families can buy the groceries and do everything, and the caretaker can just stay put and isolate well.
A lot of people, there are nurses and doctors that work in the COVID ward that haven't been affected with the coronavirus. If you're safe, if you practice, safety on your residents and on yourself and on your own family, then you could walk through a lace-ridden COVID environment, COVID-free, just by being smart and making sure that you protect yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's also great news. Well, thank you so much, Gary Fromm, for joining us. Fairfield Family Care and Sunshine Senior Residences, 203-295-3477. As always, it's a pleasure. Thank you again for all your help with my home. Can't wait for it to open up in 2 weeks. And I'll see you there.
Great. Stay safe and enjoy. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Gary. Bye. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And if you're interested in talking to Gary, he's always available for conversation. Fairfield Family Care, 203-295-3477. And I hope you tune in tomorrow, where you're going to have a special treat. I am going to be walking you through my new home. I'm going to be in Shelton and showing you my new home. You're going to get a tour. First people to get a tour. So I will see you tomorrow on Let's Talk Seniors Memory Care Issues. And I'll see you tomorrow for the grand tour. Thank you so much for joining me. Till tomorrow.
Hi, Deirdre here again. Thank you for joining me on Let's Talk Seniors Memory Care Issues. Is this an issue hitting home? Do you have a parent or loved one with memory care issues who feels not safe at home anymore? Are isolation, falls, and safety issues becoming a big concern? Welcome to Dogwood Senior Home, premier boutique residential senior living specializing in memory care. It's country living at its best in the Huntington section of Shelton, Connecticut. We're truly a home with only 6 senior residents living as one family unit. Senior residential homes are concepts sweeping the nation with 47,000 across the U.S. We're pleased to open Dogwood Senior Home as it will be only number 6 for Connecticut. Brand new, sparkling clean, opening mid-June. And safe. We are COVID-free. Residential care homes boast a very low COVID infection rate across the nation. This is due to the intimacy of size and speed in which the caretakers can shift to accommodate immediate needs. They are much safer than the large homes and facilities, as you can imagine. It has been documented that residents have less falls and a better quality of life in a residential home environment. Our home is more affordable than the big box facility. You pay one all-inclusive price, and that price is guaranteed for the life of the resident. With an incredible 1-to-3 caregiver ratio, which you won't find anywhere else. Our friendly, loving caregivers are dedicated and trained in Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's issues. We're only taking 6 residents, so the home will fill up fast. Call me at 203-689-7562 for a talk and tour. I would love to meet you and your loved one. See you soon. Bye.